Hi, my name is Cody Hosterman, Technical Director at Pure Storage for VMware Solutions. In this third part of our Pure Storage and vRealize automation series, I'll be talking about running workflows and requesting and managing resources. The first step is actually running and requesting a catalog item. So now I'm going to log into my tenant as a non-administrative user. So this is a user that can just request and manage their own resources. As you can see, my view is slightly different. I have a lot less tabs as the administrator in the previous two videos. The first thing I'll do is click on my catalog. This shows the catalog items that I'm allowed to request. Items show any items that I currently own. I have none right now, and any current requests that are running through. So let's request a new item. I'm going to add an entirely new flash array. So in this case, I'll give it a name and the IQN, the FQDN, or the IP of my flash array, and then choose a REST version. Earlier in video 2, I hard-coded the username and password so they don't need to enter it. So I'll submit this. Now if you remember, I added an approval policy to this workflow. So when we go look at the request under my requests and refresh the screen, we'll see that it's currently pending approval. So I'm going to log out and log back in as my administrator. The administrator now has gotten a notification saying, hey, you have a request that needs to be approved. So when I log in, you see under my inbox in the upper right, I do have an approval request. I'll click on that approval request and view the information. I can see that this user is requesting a new flash array to be added using REST API 1.11. It's fine with me, so I'm going to hit approve and allow this workflow to run through. So now I'm going to log out and log back in as that original user, username storage user. And I can go and monitor the process of this workflow now that it's been approved by the administrator. So if I click on my requests, I can see that it's in progress. And I'll refresh my screen, see it goes completed to successful. Under my items, I now have a flash array object. Now that I've requested a new item, I can run a resource action on that item. So here I'll select my flash array and I have two resource actions I can run. Creating a volume, and of course also removing that flash array. So let's create a volume. This has three inputs: a name for that volume, a size, and of course a unit for that capacity. So let's request an 8 terabyte volume. I do not have an approval policy associated with this workflow or this resource action. So therefore it automatically starts running. It'll go from submitted to in progress to complete and then successful. Now that the process is successful, we can go back to my items to view the object. You see I now have a new volume object under my items and my create snapshot resource action. Now that I own a volume, I have access to be able to run the create snapshot from that volume. I'll give it a name and kick off the workflow. Once again in my requests, we'll see it goes from submitted to in progress to complete to successful. I can go back to items to view that object because all my resource actions and all my catalog items are configured to return the object they created. Now you can see I haven't associated any workflows, resource actions if you will, with a snapshot type, so I can't run anything on that. I can just see that I own it. So let's run another catalog item, creating a VMware data store. This requires me to choose a cluster to provision the data store to, also and to choose a flash array. So I'll choose my cluster, and then I'll choose one of my flash arrays. And once again, this can be dynamic. I'm letting them choose any one because that's the default selection, but I can narrow it down, hard code it, or make it dynamic. I'll give my data store a name, and then of course a size. And then we'll submit this workflow. Unlike the add flash array workflow, this catalog item also does not have an approval policy, just like my earlier resource actions. So we'll watch this run through. It goes from submitted to in progress, completed, then successful. So we'll go back to my items. A VMware data store though is not a Pure Storage object, so we have to go back to the root, and we now see we have a vCenter plugin object and a VMFS type object, and we have new resource actions we can run on that object type. So create snapshot. So instead of creating a snapshot of just a regular flash array volume, we're creating a snapshot of a VMware data store. vRealize Orchestrator figures out the array that hosts that data store, the volume that hosts it, and then creates a snapshot of it. So this process will go through and complete, and then once again return that snapshot back to the requesting user. If I go back to my items and look at snapshots, we'll see I now own 2 snapshots, the one I created earlier and the one of that data store. But we still have no resource actions on either of these items. I want to do something with these snapshots. So let's import a new resource action for snapshots. I'm going to log back in as my Anything as a Service administrator. And we'll go back into our design view. We'll go to Anything as a Service and then Resource Actions. We'll go to New to import a vRealize orchestrator workflow for snapshots. We'll go to Pure Storage and then VMware ESXi and FlashArray. We have a workflow that takes in a FlashArray snapshot and creates a new VMware data store from that copied point in time. I'll associate it with a snapshot object, configure it to provision a VMware data store, and then we can configure the form if we choose. I'll stick with the defaults. We'll finish it. Now, of course, we need to publish it. This hands it off to the next administrator. And then we need to add it to our entitlements. Right? Entitlements are what includes resource actions to a service to a set of people. Right, so I'll go into my original entitlement, go to Entitled Actions, and choose the new resource action that I just published, Create VMware Data Store from FlashArray Snapshot. Hit OK, and then Finish. That'll update my entitlements. So the last step is I'll then edit my action and give it a nice icon. So it has a nice look and feel when they're choosing that menu item. So I'll find my Create VMFS Data Store from FlashArray Snapshot, configure it, and add my new icon image to it. Once completed, I'll go ahead and finish the process. Log out, and I'll log back in as my end user. And when I go back to my item inventory, I'll see I have a new resource action. So I'm logged in, go to Items, I'll select my snapshots, either one, and I'll see I have that new workflow. Thanks a lot for watching the series on Pure Storage and vRealize Automation. Bye.